Oh no.
Oh no. Ready?
Yeah.
That's what I have energy for.
Some of us are awake this morning.
I didn't sleep well, okay? We're gonna deal. Good morning.
Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
See, she can say it when I can't. It's all good.
The Adventures of Liz and
And
Rebecca.
even follow up your own line. I love it. Sorry. That's my whiny moment. Yay. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner. I want to show this off for a second, so I'm not sitting down yet. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in, I don't know what it is out there, Brevard, North Carolina. It's hazy.
It's foggy. Well,
gonna be
it's burning
hot.
off. It's going to be hot.
And the HVAC at my house is having problems. That's why I didn't sleep well. So I'm not looking forward to what it might be like when I go home today.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
I have to not talk over, let her introduce herself. So I had to show this off first, especially for anyone who came to our dual platform virtual sit and stitch. This is my easy Eyelet Yoke Cardigan. It still needs, it's going to need a band there. So it's curling in. Don't look at this as reflective of how it will end, but you can look at this as reflective of the length.
It's the perfect comfy cardigan.
It's great. It like covers like half my butt, which makes me happy. I needed to get to 14 inches and I might have gone a little short because I just want to be done. I might have stretched it a little to get 14 inches.
Who does that?
and then I got a good chunk of down here done during the dual platform virtual sit and stitch this Sunday. And then there's only 8 rows of ribbing and then you bind off. So, and it's really fuzzy. So the eyelets may not show up as well as with a not quite so fuzzy yarn on camera, but look at that when I pull it like that. Ooh.
I can see the eyelets in person.
But, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but I already took one sleeve off stitch holders and put my needle that was around these stitches here so that I could get a stitch holder free, so that hopefully, in theory, when I have energy,
you can finish another sweater.
No, I can separate the sleeves for another sweater. That in no way implies I'm going to finish another sweater. I'm hoping someday to finish this one. This one, since I'm not alternating skeins of yarn, this is
Addicts.
I was getting there, but go ahead.
Will Addicts air?
Air, yes. I always have to think air versus water. Water's the name for these yarns. Sometimes I'm like, which one goes with which? Water is the crimped alpaca, which looks like a fuzzy blob on camera. But it does a little bit of this, think of crimped hair from the 80s with fuzz, which is what you didn't want when you had crimped hair in the 80s. That the frizz was like, no. My hair was never long enough in the 80s to do that though, so I didn't have to worry about it. And air is the fluffy fuzz ball. What?
I had a crimper. Because you gotta have the little crimpy.
My hair was never long enough, so I didn't have to worry about it.
You were lucky.
I know. I mean, I was a tortured soul because my mom kept my hair short, and how dare she? And I looked like a boy, but I didn't have to deal with a crimper. So, no, here, let me, give me a sec. I want to show you what I'm hoping to put on the sleeve separator next, because it's a short sleeve and it's a summer top. I was kind of hoping to finish it while the summer was still happening, and that's probably not going to happen at this point. But what I'm hoping to sleeve separate next, now that I have stitch holders available. I mean, there's tons of stitch holders in the shop, but I'm trying to leave those available for you all instead of putting them all in my sweaters, because then I can't sell them. It's a problem, but okay, let's see. This is Tif Neilan's Wisp. What are people doing outside? They're leaving. Okay. Bracken Mountain Breakfast Club. apparently they need to walk right next to the windows and be loud, but I don't think you guys could hear it. And if you could, yeah. I just lose my train of thought. This is the Wisp Raglan by Tif Neilan. And I am like, it's got little eyelets in the raglan shaping, which is really pretty. This is very lightweight because I'm making it with EYB. That's Euro Yarn Baby, I think, or something, which I don't know. Belviso. The name of the yarn is more important. It is all these different plant fibers. It feels luscious. This thing is this fuzzy merino tubing, kind of single ply. It's supposed to be anti-pill or anti-felting. Anti-felting is what they put on the label. Everything pills, even the stuff that says it's anti-pill. I don't believe it. This is anti-felting merino fuzzy goodness. So we'll see how long I actually wear it, because it's probably already getting fuzzy and hot on me. But the air conditioning is working in the shop. So I can wear it at the shop today. And then when I go home, I will be comfortable. Anyway, hopefully that's getting fixed tonight, but you know, crap happens. So this is just like, this feels so lightweight and wonderful. And if anything, I might have to wear a little cami under it because the stitch definition is really loose.
It's a nice, beautiful drape.
But it's the drape. Oh my gosh. That fancy word knitters throw around, drape, really just means it hangs nice. So, but instead of saying it will hang wonderfully on you, we instead say it has great drape. It has beautiful drape. So instead of being stiff like a board, it's gonna fall and cling nicely. We'll see if I like how it clings to all of my curves. Some curves clinging is acceptable and some curves it's not. So you know what I mean. But I think this was really close to being at sleeve separation point. So now I can do that and keep going, because this guy has color work at the bottom again. And if I get to that point, then it gets interesting again. And then I keep the will to knit. So it would be fun. And I was all ready to do that yesterday. And then I got hot and tired and still had to do the newsletter and the tips and tricks video. And after spending lovely company with people for 4 hours on Zoom and Facebook on Sunday, while that was wonderful, finding energy to do anything else was a little hard. And I'm hoping that's the extent of my whining for today.
At least on camera.
It's funny because it's true, but I'm trying not to complain to you all, but Liz works for me, so she has to deal with it, or she's here, you know.
I get to deal with it. I don't know if I have to.
Yeah, that's kind of was implied.
Yeah.
She could go home, you know.
And then you die, and then I'd have a yarn store.
Then you inherit the yarn shop. Yeah. So you know. Anyway, getting back on track here. We're coming to the final home stretch of our anniversary month, and I was saying this in a newsletter. I was just like, there's probably going to be at least one more sale. Probably only one more sale. People who know to come to our virtual dual platform Sit and Stitch have things they can do to take advantage of savings. But there probably will be one more sale. We'll see how big it gets. Although I also joked in the newsletter that next month is the anniversary of when we moved over here. So we kind of have 2 anniversary months back to back, but that one's not quite as big as being in business, period. So, you know, take advantage of the sales while we still have product.
We're at 574 for.
I know. Oh my gosh. We're in the home stretch of getting to 600. We're like, we're almost 25 away. So think about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
If all the people watching right now who are not subscribed, we would probably be there. I mean, no pressure, right? But you know, if you subscribed, you could help us get a sale for only YouTube. The sale that's probably coming this week sometime, which I think we'll announce here if we settle on dates, will be for everybody. We'll also put it out on social media. I warned the newsletter. I was not going to put out a separate newsletter. It was like, you got to watch social media or come in, I don't know, and ask. But we want to have one just for you guys. if we hit 600 subscribers. That would be really fun.
It would be.
We
It'd be
like-
like April all over
We
again.
like helping people save money, especially if they're going to buy things that might not sell otherwise. I don't know. So just being honest, right? And it could be something that's going to sell anyway, but then we get to order more for you. Woo! There's so many places I want to order from
I know.
this week, and I need y'all to buy stuff so I can order things.
There's yarn and notions and whatnot coming in as well this week. So
Mhm. Mhm.
mm,
Liz gets to actually work because she doesn't work most of the no. That's
no, I
that's
just
not-
sit and knit.
You just sit. What she does on camera, that's not what she does all day in the shop. That's like, this is like the only time you have to sit and knit.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we sit and knit as I mean, pretense is not the right word. Sometimes we sit and knit outside because it is a good way to welcome people into the shop, but it's not the main thing that we do at the shop. So, you know.
No, and if we do sit and knit outside, it's you need something you can put down quickly. So,
Mindless knitting.
which for me the Papillon counts as.
And
So
sometimes it's I don't do mindless knitting out there, and it's a recipe for disaster if I have to pick it up and put it down too many times.
that's why I'm not working on what I worked on all weekend that I brought in.
Yes, we should talk
But,
about that.
Um,
I've already talked about like
so-
2 of my things.
my Papillon mindless knitting. At least right now. Because
Until she gets to accounting.
I'm
part.
in that section 2. It's pretty much just fill in the box
Mhm.
until you get to stripe 19, and then it's not any.
I saw someone on the Butterfly Knit Along group, which if you want to do a Papillon on Facebook, it's a great resource, lots of helpful people. And she was like, I had the grandkids come over, and since I was on the contrast color row, you know, it's just the increased row and the knit back row. I was just like, I can do this even with distractions. And then the next day she realized she'd done it in the main color. And then she's like, I have to decide now, do I frog it or not? You know, do I back out those rows or just leave it?
Depends on where I put them. I've
I
frogged
think that's what the answer
I
kind of
have
was from people.
frogged back because I missed a bubble,
Mhm.
like several stripes.
That's a little more important.
Further, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, there isn't anywhere to put my bubble that
There
I need.
isn't
So
somewhere to like nestle
Line-
your
yeah.
next bubble in against that helps it make sense.
I was
So,
like, oops.
Mhm.
So
We've had a lot of people be inspired by all the Papillons in the shop though, and at least get the yarn to start their own. And I really hope they do, because I think if they get over the, oh my gosh, it's complicated. What? It's not as complicated as it sounds if you take it row by row,
just take it row by row.
line by line, even, because
Yeah.
they stop numbering the rows.
Post-it notes, people. Post-it post-it notes or tape.
Mhm. Which we sell, by the way.
Yeah, I need
Shameless
it.
plug.
I almost need a new
Who is this for?
plasticky.
Plastic thingy. You
Yeah.
have some of those, you know.
I know. I almost need a new one because I just keep
that's impressive
moving pages around
that
and
she's almost worn
worn
through a
through it,
plastic sheet protector. That's
So
fantastic. Okay, so what was the thing you worked on all weekend?
this weekend I worked on my ZigZag
And why can't
shawl.
you work on it?
And it is all scrappy and it's lace work. So it's like reading the grid chart. Like it's only charted.
Is it feather and fan though?
No.
Kinda? No, never mind.
No, it's
For some reason I thought it was, which is a
it's-
little more mindless.
all eyelets. Like you make the eyelets to make the V's. Like
Oh, it makes the V's. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
if you see
That's counting.
a lot of counting because the eyelets have to stack perfect, and then there's a skapoo, and actually
Skipoo!
there's several different
It's like a
decreases
slip knit past slip stitch over. It's like usually a skapoo, what we affectionately call a skapoo, because the alphabet soup sounds better if you say that, is like a center double decrease or a 3-stitch
Ye-
decrease, right?
there are
Yeah.
two stitch decreases. So one is a slip one, knit one, slip past the slip stitch over. That goes one way.
That's like a slip knit kind of.
Yeah. And then the
Yeah.
other side of
The knit two together.
is the knit two together. And then when you get to the very top of the little pyramid thing, it's slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over, and chicken foot.
There's a yeah, on this on the chart it looks like a little chicken foot. It's like
but on this chart it's like half a triangle over here, half a triangle over here, and a whole triangle in the middle. So but lots of counting is not great fun when you have
counting is not your friend when it's not the counting of the papillon.
Yeah, the papillon is more like
sets of 10.
There's stitch marker there. Okay. This is like, even though I have all the stitch markers at the top, those are just my repeats for the pattern. Like,
which stitch markers are your friend when you have a red box on a chart and it's like repeat that. If you put the stitch markers every time, you should hit the end of the red box and go back to the beginning of the red box. If that makes any sense, it can really help. So you're not off at the end of the row and don't know when you're off in the middle of the row.
I'm looking. Oh, I'm holding this backwards.
Don't show yourself the right side.
There we go. That's all scrappy.
That's looking huge, but not huge enough.
But not huge enough.
Because when it's jammed on the needles, you can't tell, but she's stretching one whole side out.
If I blocked it,
yeah,
it might be big enough.
But
you don't block. I don't block. So,
and I don't know if you'd have enough blocking pads to block that big
enough. No.
Maybe.
Because right now, let's see. I'm going to do it on this side without all the stringies. We're just over a yard.
Okay.
And I need to probably add.
Look how pretty. Okay, so you said before, so this pattern is not intended to be a scrappy shawl, but you have made it a scrappy shawl, correct?
Yeah. It was designed to hold, like, it was fingering or two fingering. It was tiny little needles. It might have been a 6. I don't know. Tiny little needles. Tiny. But I was rereading the pattern and there was something about holding 2 strands together, but it was still written for small needles. I am doing it on a 10.5 needle.
Because that's your happy place.
One of them, yeah.
Which is why I have to keep ordering 10.5 needles.
But also the reason is because they're super bulky.
Yeah, it's so
in bits of this.
So you kind of plan this, but you also have scraps at home. Like the idea of a scrappy shawl is to use up your stash.
Yeah.
Or you can do what Liz did and pick yarns that you're going to buy that go together, that are thick and thin and everything in between. But a scrappy shawl, in theory, anything scrappy that you're making, who cares about the weight of the yarn? You can do scrappy out of your stash, all the same thickness. Or you can do what Liz did and go from really thick to really thin. And my rule of thumb, and probably yours too, but you can speak to it, is pick a needle that's going to work on your biggest yarn.
Yeah.
And then let whatever's going to happen with your thin yarn happen.
Yeah. Like this is the bright blue row is super bulky. And then in these 2 rows here, they're blue and yellow. It's mohair. So you can see
super thin.
Yeah.
They count it as a lace weight mohair.
You can see through it. But it just like Rebecca and I had nothing to do one day when I started it. And I was like, I want to do a scrappy shawl based on
once in a while,
this.
That happens.
And
it's dangerous.
We picked out a bunch of yarns. And then I went home and found scraps of other yarns. Like this row here, the dark green, is the 1 yard that I had left from my Fall River shawl.
Oh
like
my gosh.
I had this
so
tiny.
It was get across and back or something.
It was just enough to get across and back. Like
that is an economical use of yarn right there.
Yeah. And then some of my hand spuns are in here just because I was like, ooh, I could throw those in. Leftovers from other shawls, but little tiny bits. Like if I had more than just like maybe 5 grams, I didn't add it because that'll go in something else. But I did buy a whole bunch of yarn for that shawl.
But I'm sure there are people out there who go, but this yarn says use a size 2 needle, or this yarn says, and they're like, I would have to change needles. No, you don't.
No,
you don't.
You just
use your big needle.
Just use the big needle.
Yep.
Because it's there's quite a few scrappy shawls. If you're like, hey, I need a pattern, there's quite a few on Ravelry. And one of them is like, just knit on a 13 needle on anything from lace all the way up to super bulky and let it go. And I'm kind of planning some of the rows. Like,
let it go.
I'm like, I'll do a couple back and forths or one back and forth.
Mhm.
So it's kind of planned scrappy,
And
but
in
I could
theory-
just knit until I ran out of yarn
Yeah.
and then go to another.
And in theory, you can change yarns in the middle of a row.
I did. Like this section right here, I had one color, I got almost to the end, changed colors, came back, got almost to the end, changed colors. Like there's going to be so many ends to weave in, but I was just like, I'm going to run until I run out of yarn because it's such a tiny little amount. And it's been
beautiful.
fun.
It's really beautiful. And like you picked a lot of yarns, and I may have assisted mildly.
You did.
That go together, but then the scrappy stuff goes to, like, it's almost like the night shift in that you don't have to try to color coordinate it. You can just let it happen, and you might be really surprised and really love. You might not, but chances are you're gonna really like what happens. For a while, I remember the shop that I got my training at, there was a yarn that we carried there because for a while that was so in fashion or such a trend. They were making these giant balls of yarn that were a bunch of different yarns tied together that would create that, like, but you bought it in a giant ball, and you could kind of see what was going to come at you in this ball, but you just didn't know, and you just kept knitting.
Yeah.
It was a thing like that. People paid money to have someone else throw it together for them.
The inspiration behind this was a kit for a blanket that came out, I don't know how long ago. And when I looked it up, I was like, ooh, I want that.
And your shawls are kind of like wearable blankets. So
yeah, so it works. Half of the yarn had been discontinued. Like the kit was no longer available. Half the yarn had been discontinued. There was thick, thin, there was ribbon yarn, there was chenille yarn, there was boucle. I mean, it was this completely random, really cool looking kit that when you put the blanket together, I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. I don't like some of those yarns, but I need that. And we managed to pick out thick, thin, and I found some ribbon at home that I'd gotten from a yard sale or a thrift shop or something, and I was like,
I felt yarn tickling my nose. It still tickles.
So I have very similar, but they're all yarns that I like to play with, so it works.
I followed half of that because there's still something tickling my nose.
Oh, yarn. See, you're wearing a fuzzy sweater.
If you watch this show, don't come in and touch the sweater. Woo! I was sneezing on the way in too.
That's odd. You don't ever sneeze more than once.
Oh, believe me, I do. I just don't sneeze much in general, but I do. I feel something tickling. This is not me coming down with like COVID or some other goobery thing. I honestly feel something tickling me way up in here.
You probably got a yarn fuzzy stuck in your
And by
sinus.
sneezing into my sweater, I'm getting more. No, I usually get them in like 2s and 3s, but I just don't, I don't know. They don't hit me quite as fast. So, anyway, this pause brought to you by Yarn Nose. So couple of things I can show off that I made progress on that may or may not be in morning meditation. What is that?
Ooh.
No, this one is not as fun.
Well, I know it's not as fun, but I haven't seen it in a while.
I know. Well, I haven't gotten any further. It just has leaves stuck to it, and I don't know why. So I'll hold this up. This has been in timeout for forever, but the yarn I picked for this, the Fiber Space Heavenly, which is the lighter color in here, has suddenly become kind of popular to pair with stuff. It was like, we don't know what to do with this yarn. And this is the more monotonous part of Lisa Hahn's Room of the View shawl that I started a long time ago. And the top edge of it is going to have all this mosaic lattice work, and it's going to look really, really cool. But the bottom of it is just knitting and increasing and stripy. And you can kind of see the rainbow effect though, that
Because you're doing the Perth.
I'm doing the Queensland Perth in these dark and broody colors, which is looking like a dark and broody rainbow. It's kind of cool. And the Fiber Space Vivacious 4-ply Heavenly, which is the lightest color we have of the 4-ply, and it's got like, it's like almost white, and it's got hints of pink and purple and blue in it, and it's a little cotton candy-ish, and sometimes people don't know what to do with that because it's so like bubbly.
Yeah.
But I found I'm pairing it with the dark and broody.
It mellows it out.
It mellows it out quite a lot.
Almost
and it
makes it like a very
really
pale white, or not white.
It's
but
almost
like,
a neutral then.
It's a neutral, yeah.
You can see. Oh, I still have fuzzy in my nose. But I need to get back. This should probably be my monotonous knitting. Maybe outside, maybe at knit night tonight, because I need to get to the fun part of this, because that's why I wanted to do this in the first place. There's a couple of Lisa Hans that have this mosaic. The mosaic doesn't happen until you increase madly at the bottom. And in some ways that's good for beginning knitters to just get used to doing these increases and this back and forth, right? In some ways it makes it challenging when I used to do classes, because the part that people needed to learn how to do was at the end. You can't, you know, start and learn that. You have to like practice that and then start the shawl. Anyway, but I haven't had to do that in a year and a half, over almost going on 2 years now.
And now you have all these projects that we get back to it.
When we get back to it, I
life is
can,
safe.
when life is safe again, the big when, if, whatever. I have a lot of different things I can pull from that I don't have to make samples for because I already have them. I just have to go
furiously at the last minute.
I have to go back and look at my imaginary notes I made about what people need to remember when they do this. So this was on top of the thing I was going to show you all.
Ooh.
This is my Cameo. This is another one of those shawls that, and this is you guys aren't seeing the front right now, but it's another one of those shawls that, this is actually upside down, but I just want to hold up to show you all.
Wow.
Like, no, if you can grab here. It finally, all my stitches finally fit on this really big long cable.
And
but
you've
when
done
it
what,
started,
a foot and a half? Almost?
I think that's a foot. If you're counting the diagonal, if you're counting just how deep it is here.
When it's stretched, it's like 2 feet.
When it's stretched, it's huge. So here, if actually, can you do me a favor? Can you flip it over and grab the corner? So this is one of those, start on the longest row and get shorter as you go. But this is how it's like, you start on the top edge. The Wellerman, you started on the bottom 2 edges as your row, and you went up into the center. This, you're gonna go down to the center point. So this is this. If the rows are getting noticeably shorter, like it doesn't take me 15 minutes to get across a row anymore. I don't even know how many stitches I have my stitch markers in there for my pattern repeats, but I don't even know how many stitches it is. I haven't bothered to count. I added an extra repeat. She's like, if you want to make this bigger, this is Cameo by Melanie Rice, by the way. She's like, if you want to make it bigger, add 72 stitches to make the math work. So of course I did. So it's taking forever. But it's really, really fun. And the stitch, so it's got lace and it's got cables that shift back and forth. And if you take a look, there's one of my stitch markers. There's one of my stitch markers. That's a pattern repeat. And you're looking at the back side again because I flipped it upside down. Ah! And now the cable's being all funky and hinky. So nice. I'm on Likey needles with this, so the cable, it's not that the cable has memory, but it's a plastic cable that can decide to curl if and when it wants, or the stitches are not on it in the right direction. So this is going to be one of my blanket shawls. And who knows when I'll finish it, but I'm getting back into the whole, ooh, let me sit down and knit some on it, even though I should be working on something else. So that one I've made progress on.
And in a couple of weekends, you'll be done with it. Like, you'll pull it out and be like, "Bzzz, done."
Just like that. So I started on my crochet along Charlotte's Universe that I'm doing. Clue 6. I mean, it's not a mystery knit along, but part 6. It's not like it's, you know, it's like, ooh, what's gonna happen? It's, you know, overall what it's gonna look like. But part 6 dropped yesterday. And again, I was so tired by the time I finished everything. I started to do part 6 and realized that one of my sides from part 5 was incorrect.
Oops.
But instead of ripping it out, I just fudged it. I had like part 5 left you with these little picot things, right? And of course I picked the one side to start working on. This has, I wasn't counting. It's a thing. Because she tells you how many little picots you should have, or how many repeats, or how many whatevers. And I didn't go back and count. I just counted the other ones and said, well, the other ones are all 15. I picked the side somehow just randomly that had 17 of these little picots. So when I did the row that's supposed to go on top of this, which I'll show you in a second, the math didn't work. And I was like, why is that? And then I went and said, oh, look, I have 2 more picots on one side than any other side. And so I pulled the picots out on the side that I did, and I kind of fudged it to make it from 17 to 15. So they're a little stretched down in one corner. But I figured in the long run,
nobody will notice.
It's going to be okay. So what's happening is you're making triangles. I'm about to rip out part of my row if I pull too hard. You're making new triangles to have this shift directions. I'll pull the whole thing up in a second. But this is where I had to fudge the picots. And I think, what is it? Like over here, I started, you're supposed to have like 2 stitches into every little hole here. I started having 1 stitch into every hole to make these picots stretch. I could have distributed it better. My I don't care bar wasn't that high for this because it will be buried in the middle and it will still look gorgeous. So it's making, these rows are getting shorter and shorter. Like section 5 here started getting shorter. And section 6, I'm going to be doing these. Let me hold it up. Ooh, yeah, it's getting huge. It's getting really hard to show off. But this section over here, you can kind of see is getting smaller. Like there's the edge. And I'm going to be doing that on all corners. So this is going to get to a point. So what was a square this way is now starting to become a square this way. So it's a diamond in the middle of the squares. The squares have already rotated. I'm essentially part of section 6. You can see that happened in here with the blue. I made triangles in here. I'm following, it's actually said to go follow some of the instructions for this out there to do the same thing to make a triangle to give you a new square. So that's the beginning of it, which means there'll be some more, I think. I'm trying to remember if those were popcorns. No, I think the popcorns were up here. I don't know. I'm going to find out when I follow more of the instructions. There might be puffs, there might be popcorns. There's all kinds of really fun stitches in here. So, but the beginning of this, see, there are those picots. It just makes nice holes now because you actually did stitches into the picots and did chains across them to help create all the stitch definition. All the big holes in this are all created in different ways, and it's really kind of fun. And apparently she has other universe blanket knit along. She's got other things that if you're looking to try something, if you're looking to try a neat crochet experience, this is Dedri Uis is her name. I will try to put it in the comments because I might be butchering her name and I apologize. But I'm having a lot of fun. I am on my 2nd skein of the gray. And there's a lot of yardage on these skeins. It's like 300 something, like 380.
Yep.
I haven't had to crack into a 2nd skein on the other colors. This I'm supposed to be using the most of. It's written for DK, and I already have another crochet along with some more acrylic blend DK, which keeps the cost down. This I'm doing with Jody Long Alba is this one, and Juniper Moon Patagonia. They're slightly different fiber blends, but they function really similarly. They have the same yardage,
same
right?
yardage, yeah.
And the Juniper Moon Patagonia is less expensive. It's like $16 or so, close to $20. Same yardage. They play well together. If you're a tight crocheter, you might pull them apart sometimes because they have a loose spin on them. But you can always do something like this with more of an acrylic blend to make your money go further. And we have some acrylic blends in the shop that would work really nicely. Might not have the same color palette, but will look really cool. But since I was already doing a monster blanket, which Cheryl Dobkins, shout out to her, pointed out on Sunday, she asked if I was doing that. I've had to stall out on that one because that one, I need to actually watch the videos on as I do it. I'll bring that one in sometime. I'm using really bright colors for that one, but that one has such fun, amazing, crazy stitches in it. She's made full length videos on it. And I sit down in a quiet room and watch the videos. For those of you who have to sit in a quiet room to do stitches, me too. It just depends on the level of complexity. That's not to say that the other blanket I'm working on, if you are a beginning crocheter or an intermediate crocheter, you can't do it. Of course you can. That's why she made the videos. So even above and beyond reading her pattern, watch her videos, because you're still helping her out because she made the videos and they're getting hits. So, that's a win-win for everybody. Someday I might get back to that. I'm getting my crochet mojo rebooted, I feel like, because for several months, due to lots of factors, especially emotional ones, for some reason it was hard for me to pick up crochet. I think for me, knitting is more of my nurture zone. And especially if I don't really want to have to think too hard about something, even the intricate knitting patterns kind of help me zen out. Whereas crochet, I really got to focus. I love them both though. Shout out, total props to both knit and crochet. But you've got to figure out what works for you when it works for you. If it's not bringing you joy, take a break from it, So I think that was most of the stuff I was going to show off. Like I'm still working on my Stonecatcher, but I think I showed it to y'all. I'll give you a refresh on this. I might have gotten a few more rows done on my Stonecatcher. We have this back in stock, by the way, in the colors that I'm knitting it in. Doing the center, right? The center is done. I'm going off on the edge here and I'm almost done. I'll hold it up like this. It's going to block hopefully much bigger than this, but I'm almost done with one side. And I think I got some of this last mosaic section done as I hit the microphone with it since we talked to y'all last.
I think so.
And yeah, this stripy part you might not have seen, and then this part on the outside. So I'm getting there. And I think have plenty of yarn left. When I am done with this side, I'm going to weigh my yarns and see if I don't need 50% of my yarn left because the center is already done. Right. But I'm going to have to see, I'm probably just going to go and see if I run out of yarn. That's the best way. But I'm hoping it's enough yarn. I'm feeling a catch, which means my tips are almost coming off there. I got to tighten those on. This kit is back in stock. We have You Almost Unearthly Thing. So these colors, if you want to try it, we have it. So coffee really hasn't hit yet. I'm trying, guys. I hope that you are entertained in some fashion because I am trying. I promise. There's where my bag is. Okay, one more thing. I made a little bit, minute level of progress on my Scottish Highlands shawl. In fact, it's getting to the point where it's hard to stretch out and show y'all. This is the one I'm making for the shop, and it's dark. I gotta hold it maybe up here. I don't even know. No, it's kind of dark and broody, so it's blending in with the yarns that look dark and broody, even though they're not back there. I'm using, this is the more mindless part of this too. There's going to be all this lace work at the bottom. I'm using Fiber Spates Tweed Imps 4-ply and Fiber Spates Dove Stone. It's very mellow, but it still shows up, right? It's gonna look like lichen stone cathedral sections with tartan plaid when it's done. It's those two colors. And sometimes when you think colors are really gonna pop, they're still pretty mellow. And sometimes you don't know that until you knit with it. And then you have to decide, do you like that or not? I do like this. I like the subtlety of this.
I like that when like the stripes in the shawl, like in the middle, might not pop as much, but I think the cathedral work at the very bottom is gonna pop.
I don't think this is a color combo that I would use for like an Alaska hat, where you really want to have the trees pop against the background, because it's pretty mellow. And I've done some combos like that where it's like, this is gonna be amazing. No, it's not. And you got to make some calls on that. So, let's go over our schedule, Liz. What do we got going
tonight? Sit and Stitch from 6 to 9
on Zoom
Eastern time on Zoom. 828-877-3550 is the shop.
Did you forget the shop phone number? What? You say it too many times, and it's like when you're writing stuff and you write the word was too many times, and suddenly it looks like it's spelled wrong. Wound. Yeah, not even complicated things like that. So sometimes like I have weird brain moments where simple words look spelled wrong. So shop phone number 828-877-3550.
You kept saying it on Sunday, and
then it's in your brain too many times, and it doesn't make sense anymore.
Wait a second.
Yeah. Okay. So that's tonight. Only on Zoom, not on Facebook Live. That's only our Sunday, our weekend ones that happen once a month, which by the way, we had a wonderful one this weekend. The next time we have one will be September 19th. I've picked the date already.
Okay.
Because it's towards the end of September. Tomorrow, we gave y'all the benefit of the same VSC items, product of the week items, 2 weeks in a row, because we were so crazy busy last week. We are not as crazy busy this week, so we will pick new things. So today is your last chance. If you are actually watching this the day we filmed it, which is August 24th, today is your last chance to scarf up our Lorna's laces at 15% off. Tomorrow we will pick new things, and we will probably pick them tomorrow morning. So watch tomorrow's show to find out what you can save 15% on all week.
I'm sure there will be people on Knit Night tonight who are like, hey, you know what you should do? They
will suggest things, and then we will do that or ignore that.
Okay, maybe. And then we come into work and
go, yeah, no.
Sometimes it's we forgot about them, and sometimes
we actually do it.
Yeah.
You never know. We like keeping people on their toes. Okay. And then Thursday's Dear Becky and Lizzie. We have one question right now for Dear Becky and Lizzie. If you want to get in another thing for us to expound upon and philosophize, knit and crochet wise, at this point, I would email
Liz at sundragonartandfiber.com.
Didn't say your name, so I wouldn't make confusing things happen. Email Liz. Or if you want to send us a card, which we'll cherish forever, in a basket instead of in Liz's email, you can write us at Dear Becky and Lizzie, Sun Dragon Art and Fiber, 35 South Broad Street, Brevard, North Carolina 28712. And then there'll be another Sit and Stitch on Friday, same hours and same phone number code to get in as Tuesday. And I think that's all we need to cover right now.
I think so.
Subscribe. We are so close to the 600. Like I thought there was a few months in there where I was like, we're never gonna get there. We're never gonna get there. And we might get there. So, help us get there. Subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Ring the bell.
Comment.
Like and comment. All the stuff that helps, like the mathy algorithmy computery things. So it helps other people discover us. And then, stardom. No, not really. Internet fame. No, not really. But we love the community that we have. So that's what we're doing it for. You also, if you want to, you can go over to patreon.com/sundragon and support us there for whatever monthly fee you feel is appropriate to keep it going, help us around the edges to keep making these shows. So that's that. And we should go and look, the sun came out.
And the blue sky is there. And
after all this rain we've had, that's actually pretty cool. So we'll see what happens today. We'll put the tent up. We'll sit outside. This is coming off. Look, I wore it the whole show.
I'm impressed.
I had a couple of moments I felt like hot flashes in it, but now it's kind of comfortable. If I go outside, it will not be comfortable. But I can't wait to get this ready for wintertime. I bet you'll be seeing this on me a lot in the winter. We shall see. So stay safe. We love y'all. We miss you. Talk to us, email, call, write a comment here. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Yep.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.